No, Paul Mooney was not. I've heard that. Paul Mooney was not Richard's writer.
In you seeing Pryor, like what was his process generally?
Observation. That
so
was the process.
he was cooking up material in his head?
It was just watching how he would observe things, and then you wait. You didn't want to. I think the success with any of them was not thinking you knew them. Always stayed open to it. The moment you thought you knew them, that's where the fuck up was. You had to stay open. All of them at one time or another would ask me what I thought of their humor, their jokes. And it was like, I don't know. What do you mean what I think of it? Because I'm not there to critique your funny. If you don't know, I don't know. And there was maybe 2 or 3 times Richard asked me, did I think something was funny? And I would just look at him. Part of me felt like that was a test. And maybe the ego in him might have said, who are you to critique what I do? So I would never answer it.
So you avoided to give him like a direct response on that one?
I just wouldn't respond. I didn't avoid it because I wasn't going to be made uncomfortable about answering your questions, but I know you know the funny, so why are you asking me about it? And I would just stay in that position. There's
been this big conversation, and the reason why. Did you see Richard write stuff out? Like, how long was that general process?
I think most of it was, and he said on one of his albums about someone that could book the numbers and didn't need paper or pencil. Everything was committed to the mind. So that's how he wrote. He would write something down, and I remember going to look at his notes, and it was like it was hieroglyphics.
Just chicken scratch?
No, it wasn't. It was on purpose. You're not going to look at it and know what I'm writing, even though it's like it might be switches, and then on purpose what would look like gibberish, but you knew he knew what it was. It was to him. It wasn't for you. He wasn't writing for you, and he wasn't writing for people to be able to say, here's what he wrote. It was just something to remind him of whatever he was thinking about. Yeah.
Fair. This is a big conversation on our platform in regards to Richard's. There's a conversation of use of writers in comedy. You've heard of that?
Yes.
Like stand-up comedians, do they have...
But see, I think where they get started with that is the stand-up performer writes his own material. The comedian that has the TV shows, yes, they give you writers, because the network is saying we're not relying on you to turn out this type of material every week. So you're going to need some other people in the room. You are the vehicle, but you won't be able to do it out. You won't be able to do it every week because it's not your personal. It's some other things going on.
It's been to the effect of, like, they say that stand-up comedians, guys that tour, they have writers, and the conversation is in regards to Richard. He said that Paul Mooney was his writer.
No, Paul Mooney was not. I've heard that. Paul Mooney was not Richard's writer. Paul Mooney, like anybody that's a friend, would see what you was doing, and they would give you 3 or 4 or 5 other alternatives in terms of what they thought it was. It still was up to you. You created the base. You had the first 2 or 3 punchlines, but someone else can say, but this and this and this, and then it was up to you if you want to use it. But they wasn't writing for him. It wasn't notes being written down. And I've heard that about Paul Mooney. And I know Paul Mooney had an opportunity to work with Eddie and Dave Chappelle and whoever else he worked with because they thought he wrote for Richard. He did not write for Richard. He was on Richard's shows as a writer, but that's giving your friends an opportunity to make some money on these networks. But no, he wasn't the one that, and it's revealed, and if he was Richard's writer, do half of that for yourself, Paul Mooney, and you're in that position.
You feel like Paul kind of rolled with that hypothesis, that theory?
Of course, it gets you work. It did get him work. Eddie thought that he wrote for Richard and put him down, and then after he toured, he seen that Paul really wasn't writing. That's why he cut him loose. Same thing with Chappelle. He put him down.
Right, because he was on the show.
Yes, but you know, Nicodemus, that was the old act, and it ran out.
Right.
It ran out. So, no, he wasn't that creative force. He was that one that laughed at it when you did it, and the laughter added to it. But it wasn't him saying, here, and you should go this direction. No, Paul never was that for Richard.